All right, let's do it. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day as we talk some Niners, because that's what we do every day here on the channel. Here's what's coming up here on the program. The Niners getting some really good news for the future from the National Football League. We have another Brock Purdy contract update, and I'm going to go through 6 reasons why the 49ers signed tight end George Kittle to a massive and historic contract extension. Let's begin here, though. We know what the 49ers have said all offseason long. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, we want to build through the NFL draft. And obviously, going into free agency, we had some hints that some changes could be made to this Niners roster, and we really started to grasp that once we were at the NFL Combine, and then we relayed everything to you with what John Lynch had to say during free agency. The Niners let a lot of well-known marquee players go who signed big contracts elsewhere, and they were backing up what they had said at the NFL Combine. We want to get younger. We want to shed some salary. We want to bring in some youth juice on this roster. We want to build through the NFL draft. And what did the Niners do? Last week, built through the draft. And we'll see how that draft class ends up working out. 11 rookies making their way to the Niners, a few intriguing UDFAs. The Niners obviously went heavy on the defensive side of the ball, bringing in players who all have a history in being good against the run. San Francisco certainly prioritized fixing what has been a lackluster rush defense. These prospects and rookies who are coming to the Niners all have impressive and intriguing athletic skill sets and potential, and they can do some things really at an elite level. Now, in the case of Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins, those players definitely have to get better as pass rushers. But Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West, Nick Martin, they're all really good in stopping the run. Upton Stout can run with anybody. 4.4 speed. He can track it. He can make plays against the run. He plays bigger than his size. All of those players bring physicality and really nice athleticism to a defense that has been lacking that, especially as far as youth over the last few years. And I've said it here on this show, right? The future of the Niners really does hinge on the 2025 draft class and the 2026 class. And this 2026 class especially is going to be vitally important, too, for the regime of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And if this 2025 class, which a lot of people thought the Niners reached on a few picks, and I can certainly see where they're coming from, and I agree on some, I disagree on others, if they whiffed on a lot of these selections, the seat for John Lynch, the seat for Kyle Shanahan is going to be very hot for this current regime. But when you look ahead to the 2026 draft, when the Niners have said we want to build through the draft, they have set themselves up very nicely with 11 picks this past draft. But then you look ahead to the 2026 draft, and it's very intriguing what the Niners have going on with this slight rebuild, retool on the fly, because they really do have an opportunity to add a lot, and I mean a lot, of youth talent to this team. And what that allows you to do, you replenish the cupboard as far as talent goes. You're able to become a more affordable team as far as the salary cap goes. You can bring in young players who are more motivated, who are a little bit healthier, who are a little bit more athletic, and of course, they're cheaper. Cost-controlled contracts for the foreseeable future to give you a lot of optionality, to give you a lot of flexibility, which brings me to this good news from the National Football League, because the Niners are slotted to have some more compensatory picks after Aaron Banks signed with the Green Bay Packers, Charvarius Ward signed with the Colts, and Talanoa Hufanga signed with the Denver Broncos to further give the Niners flexibility as far as the draft goes, but to really give them the opportunity to continue to add a lot of talented players to their roster. And this is significant stuff here if these compensatory picks end up working out, because of where these compensatory picks come into play for next year's draft. So let's look ahead to 2026. And as I always like to say, good businesses are always planning ahead. Good businesses always have a plan for the future and the present. In 2026, the Niners will have their own first-round pick, their own second-round pick, their own third-round pick, their own fourth-round pick. But then they're expected to get, according to Over the Cap, Spotrac, and those websites, they just came out with this information, a compensatory pick after Aaron Banks signed with the Green Bay Packers. A compensatory pick following Charvarius Ward also getting paid, but by the Indianapolis Colts. Their own fifth, a fifth-round compensatory pick after Talanoa Hufanga got a handsome deal with the Denver Broncos. A sixth-round pick of their own and a sixth-round pick from the Minnesota Vikings. That is 10 total picks as of right now in next year's draft. Now, each of the other signings, there was a possibility and possibilities that the Niners were going to get more compensatory picks. They kind of got canceled out for these reasons. Jalen Moore leaving was canceled out by the Mac Jones signing. Dre Greenlaw's deal canceled out the addition of Luke Farrell. And then Josh Dobbs and Demarcus Robinson X'd each other out as far as the compensatory pick formula. But that is, ladies and gentlemen, 3 picks in the first 3 rounds, 6 picks inside the top 4 rounds, 8 picks within the first 5 rounds, and 10 picks total. So to round that out and to summarize that, this allows San Francisco to continue to build their team to be a sustainable winner in the National Football League. That's story number 1. Story number 2, Brock Purdy contract update after the Niners handed out that big deal to all-world tight end George Kittle. 4 years, $76.4 million for the People's tight end, $19.1 million per year. Makes him the highest paid tight end in the NFL and in NFL history, and he gets $40 million in guaranteed money, and of course we'll talk about that coming up here in just a bit. But after signing Kittle to that huge deal, the Niners, according to multiple reports, have now zeroed their focus in on their next big priority, and that is signing Brock Purdy and securing him to a contract extension for the long haul. And hopefully, like the Kittle deal, the Niners are finally going to be able to change their organizational history and how they've done business. Get these deals done early, because by waiting, they've had to overpay the market price for some of their own players. It's added weird vibes to a critical time of the year, whether it be training camp, the preseason, or the start of the regular season. And by overpaying, it has just killed this Niners organization in a way. And that dark cloud hovering over the organization hasn't done them any favors. And when these contract negotiations just drag on and drag on and drag on, and they linger, it leads to unnecessary drama. And so according to multiple reports, the Niners in substantive talks with Purdy's camp, insiders are projecting a deal worth anywhere between $48 and $60 million. I know that's a big window, but you really don't know, and nobody knows how much that deal is going to be. Of course, a lot of it is also going to come down to years and guaranteed money. That payday for Purdy, much deserved, well overdue, because he has been the best bargain in the National Football League since he became the starter after being Mr. Irrelevant back in the 2022 draft. He has not made more than $1 million in a season yet. There are quarterbacks in college football, NIL-wise, who are making triple to quadruple to maybe even more of what Brock Purdy has made as an NFL quarterback. Now, this year, he's going to get a pay bump. It's going to be around $5 million. But once he gets that contract extension, it is going to be a significant pay raise for him. And the Niners finally getting this deal done early with Kittle does that signal that they do have a change of direction, a change of tune, a change of philosophy within their organization, knowing it's advantageous to get these deals done early. You look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, the model of the NFL right now, they always pay their players early in the process, early in the offseason, and sometimes a year ahead of schedule. Why do they do that? Because Howie Roseman knows that sometimes the market can get reset, at all these different positions. And when you sign players early, the Eagles have been able to get those players at 60 to 70% of the market value. And down the road, those contracts end up being steals. And so hopefully here, I don't think there's going to be a quarterback contract that is signed that's going to reset the market. That's really transpired the last few off seasons, especially over the last couple of years. But hopefully the Niners can get this deal done so that Purdy doesn't have to hold out from training camp. And even if he does report the training camp without a contract, there's not this weird back and forth and an everyday story. When are you going to sign Purdy? Purdy, how do you feel about not signing that deal yet? Now, Tom Pelissero does have some interesting reporting here with what he said on the Rich Eisen show this week. And he said, what I would tell you on Purdy is that they've been in negotiations. They have been in talks. They continue to move forward. Purdy is there. He is working out with the team. He chose to be around, even though there's this ongoing situation involving his contract. I would certainly anticipate this is going to be right there, in the 50s probably, with Purdy. They've made it clear that they want him to be the long-term quarterback solution in San Francisco. But then he added this, quote, they're not close. Nothing's imminent from my understanding here. But certainly this is a deal that I would anticipate that all parties have a vested interest in getting done before we get to training camp. So obviously the interesting part from what Pelissero said, they're not close. Diana Rossini said last week that they are getting close. And Purdy being there at the start of OTAs was an indication of that. I think a deal gets done at some point, just like I predicted a George Kittle contract extension gets done, because the Niners know Purdy is a really good quarterback. He's been elite, if not close to elite, since he became the starter in 2022. $50+ million is the going rate for what elite quarterbacks go for at this point. And if the Niners don't sign Purdy to an extension, what is the alternative? You can't be in quarterback purgatory. And he has been a perfect quarterback for what Kyle Shanahan wants from that position. Now, if you want a Brock Purdy jersey, you can get yours today. If you're very confident that he is going to be the franchise quarterback here for the long haul, find your jerseys down below at chatsports.com/49jersey. All thanks to our friends at Fanatics. We have some legendary old school players like Jerry Rice and Joe Montana available. We have Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Nick Bosa jerseys there. Also, if you want the Rook, you saw us flash that up. Michael Williams as well. Looks as though he is going to wear the number 98. You use that link down below. It takes you to Fanatics. Fanatics then knows that Chase Sr., Chat Sports, and the 49ers Report sent you. Get your Niners jersey this summer so that you're ready for the fall once the Niners season comes around, and I do think San Francisco can surprise some people this upcoming season. All right, let's get to this. 6 reasons why the 49ers signed tight end George Kittle to a contract extension. Number 1, think about the player, who Kittle is, who he's been, who he can continue to be. I know a lot of people are mentioning Brock Bowers as the best tight end in football. Maybe he's the best receiving tight end in football. I won't argue that, and I'm not disrespecting Brock Bowers, but he's not the blocker that George Kittle is. So right now, George Kittle is the best all-around tight end in the NFL with his ability to catch the ball, pick up yards after the catch, be sure-handed, be physical, his diverse route usage, and he has been a great red zone target. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2023, a second-team All-Pro in 2024, 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro selection. Number 2, at $19.1 million per year, $40 million in guaranteed money for a soon-to-be 32-year-old tight end, yes, it is a little risky, especially given what the Niners' plans are and have been. Getting younger, shedding salary, building through the draft. But it's important to keep a player like this because George Kittle is still one of one. And while it might be a little bit of a risk, how about this? George Kittle, think about it in this way. He has a wide receiver impact with how he's used, how good he is, the numbers that he puts up, at a fraction of the price of what highly paid wide receivers are going for right now. I've talked about this time and time again here on the show. The wide receiver market has players making $30 to $40 million per year. George Kittle is just as impactful, slightly less impactful, sometimes more impactful than some of those players who were making 30 to 40 million. And so the tight end market, it has definitely gotten more expensive, but it continues to be a bargain compared to how important they are as blockers and tight ends, if you have a tight end like Kittle, how they're utilized in the passing game, how they're used in the red zone, and that price point is half in some instances of what wide receivers are getting. So think about it in that way. If you think that the Niners overpaid for Kittle, trying to open up your ears and eyes a little bit. Number 3, think about the weapon that George Kittle has been for Brock Purdy. Since Purdy became the Niners starter in 2022, George Kittle's career has been revived to a certain degree. He has 21 touchdowns in 36 regular season games since Purdy replaced Jimmy Garoppolo, who replaced Trey Lance. Number 4, the cultural impact that Kittle has on this organization. Just as recently as last week, Mykel Williams gets drafted by the Niners with the 11th overall pick. Guess who's there at the facility to greet him, dap him up, and welcome him to San Francisco, to give him an example. If you want to be great in this league, you have to do what guys like number 85 do in order to be successful for a long time and to be a great player. George Kittle and Fred Warner are both part of the fabric of this organization. They are great for the culture. As I like to say, they are the hearts and the souls of the Niners. And so you want to keep players like that around because culture is important, especially in football. Setting an example is important, especially in football. And then number 6, with Deebo Samuel getting traded, with Brandon Ayuk being hurt, and we're not sure when he's going to come back, given how great he operates with Brock Purdy, I think the Niners make Kittle more of a focal point of the pass game. And we have also seen tight ends age very well throughout NFL history. And I think that George Kittle can continue to age very well. Outside of 2020, he has played in 14 or more games every single season of his career. So that does it for today's show. Thanks to everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit that sub button. We will be live tomorrow on the 49ers Report, and we'll continue to churn out great content because that's what we love doing for the faithful.